So, welcome to the next in our series of online messages brought to you by the folks of the Raleigh Congregational Church. This is Reverend Tom Bentley, the pastor. We hope that these messages can help you in your life journey. May your faith open up to new possibilities. If you'd like to know more about the work and ministry of the Raleigh Congregational Church, you can learn this at the information at the end of this video. So, peace and best wishes. The events of the last few days, where the U.S. Capitol was breached and violence occurred there and people died, is a shock to the system emotionally for all of us who are Americans. Preachers all across America, I'm sure, decided to discard the sermon they had planned for January 10th, and offer instead a different kind of message. And so I've decided to do the same. The title that I chose for the sermon for January 10th was something to the effect of The God Within You. That's still worthy to pursue. It does have something to do with what's happening right now in our community, in our society, in our nation, and our world. What I would like to offer is a theological perspective on what's going on. What we have happening in the United States of America and Western society in general is we have an upsurge of Gnosticism. Gnosticism comes from the word gnosis, or knowledge in Greek, and it is a generic term which describes a certain theological view of existence that goes way back, way before Jesus, was embraced by Zoroaster and Zoroastrianism, which was really the cultural faith of what we call Iran and Persia for many centuries. Gnosticism, the idea that my thinking is a critical part of how I connect to reality. And of course you would say that's the case, but here's the point. The Gnostic view of creation is that this realm we live in is depraved and is half-baked and was made by a demonic force. That force was called in the old literature the demiurge, the idea of this, a force, not God, but something that had godlike powers. And all of us are wrapped up in this. So if there's going to be any salvation of being saved from this terrible circumstance, there's going to have to be a big battle where this demiurge is defeated. That happens through, I'm speaking in generalities now, children of light getting together. I have the light of knowledge in me. It's unique to me. It's a hidden knowledge. I've discovered it. I will join with the other children of light, and then when there's enough of us, we'll have the great battle. And then we will overcome the demiurge. It's very dualistic. Christendom never embraced that. It comes from a Judaic understanding where creation was made as a gift, as good. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, says Genesis, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God said, let there be light. And the morning and the evening was the first day, and God saw that it was good. God created this good creation. There is no hidden knowledge here that we need to have to figure this out. We're caught up in a confluence of forces unique to the American society that are actually related to earlier forces and influences that predate even the founding of our republic. Specifically, what's happening is that this Gnosticism, the idea that there's a hidden knowledge that I have, has really found expression in the notion that there's a deep state and there's a hidden knowledge. And it is not accidental that many people are calling the current president the God Emperor. Yes, they are online. And that it is also quite apparent that reasoned discourse is no way to fix this confusion. Reasoned discourse is important, but it is not sufficient unto itself. Something more cosmic and deeply, let's call it psychological, is motivating people, but it's in the realm of theology, how I see God and how I see myself in relationship to this divine force. Add to this Gnostic experience some other forces which are clearly evident in our American culture. One particular issue is, this is a Gnostic motif also, the idea that what's this hidden knowledge? If I am so astute and aware, I can actually make a difference in the physical realm through my thoughts alone. I can change matter and how things come to pass with this willful power, which is unique to me. It's shared by the other children of light, and we're all getting together here, but we're fighting the righteous battle. That is very evident, that general understanding relationship to thought and creativity and whatever in a series of so-called Christian motifs, which we will find actually way back in American society, but it found its greater expression in the writings of Norman Vincent Peale. His book, The Power of Positive Thinking, is classically Gnostic. And that prosperity ministry that he preached became the working tool of a number of so-called Christian movements, such as Joel Osteen and his prosperity ministry, but also some capitalist libertarian forces, such as what's discovered in Amway, or you can also look at Landmark, which is the more mature child of the Est movement, where after a period of preparation and learning, the adept becomes increasingly aware that their personal thoughts have the ability to move circumstances and actual physical matter around, because I'm the citadel of my own consciousness. Now, Paul, he baptized 12 people in the book of Acts, and they received the Holy Spirit. Now, it happened that while Apollos was away in Corinth, Paul made his way down through the mountains, came to Ephesus, and happened on some disciples there. The first thing he said was, "Did you receive the Holy Spirit when you believed? Did you take God into your mind only, or did you also embrace him with your heart? Did he get inside you?" We've never even heard of that. Holy Spirit, God within us. "How were you baptized then?" asked Paul. "In John's baptism." "That explains it," said Paul. "John preached a baptism of radical life change so that people would be ready to receive the one coming after him, who turned out to be Jesus. If you've been baptized in John's baptism, you're ready now for the real thing, for Jesus." And they were. As soon as they heard of it, they were baptized in the name of the Master Jesus. Paul put his hands on their heads, and the Holy Spirit entered them. From that moment on, they were praising God in tongues and talking about God's actions. Altogether, there were about 12 people there that day. But what is this Holy Spirit? They did go and speak in tongues. They were connected to something hidden and amazing, but they didn't turn into libertarian capitalists. They actually, by forming their community, increasingly took care of those people who had less, who were victims to a difficult society. They spent time with the broken and the sick and the widowed and the orphaned and the hungry. And that's the Christian story. And that's a very different story than seeking my own self-aggrandizement and personal wealth. The Gnostic, on the other hand, was very much a hierarchical thinker. This hierarchy of hidden knowledge is a core issue that feeds other motifs that are political and sociological. The last great and most difficult expression of this was National Socialism in mid-20th century Germany. And Hitler saw himself as the God Emperor to lead these people to the culmination of what they could be. And it goes back to the Norse mythologies, actually, but it's Gnostic. And so we're caught up in another Gnostic wave. What do we do about this? But this is not about being a Republican or a Democrat. That's gone. We're past that. This is something much more problematic and sometimes insidious. It's very disturbing that a high number of people seem to be okay with what happened at the Capitol. And I think America has to take a look at that. And I really would like to know how many people call the current president God Emperor and think of him as bearing some power that's beyond the powers of earth, if you will. But we also can start by embracing the covenantal truths that are available in our own mature faith, expressed in, well, I am ordained in the United Church of Christ, which has its roots historically all the way back to the founding. Yes, they were separatists and they came to Plymouth and they had their problems, but they were covenantal in their theology, which is quite the opposite from Gnostic. No, God's love is inclusive of everyone. We see Jesus, the suffering Jesus, in those who are poor, those who are ill, those who are lacking many of the things I have, those who are not me and like me. That's where Jesus is. This inclusivity is a critical piece as we reclaim our covenantal principles. And the covenantal principles of inclusivity and personal need formed the founding documents of, yes, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, John Adams, and the first Constitution that set the template for our own national Constitution. Those values are in the Constitution. E pluribus unum, united in one, everybody included. That's what that really means. So in the spirit of that, I hope this inquiry has been helpful. If you'd like to talk to me more about it, there's information at the end of this video, and you can give me a phone call or check in with the Raleigh Congregational Church if you'd like to pursue this more. So peace and best wishes in your journey. Goodbye. So thank you for spending time with us. If you'd like to know more about the First Congregational Church of Raleigh, you can go online at firstchurchraleigh.org. If you'd like to offer a gift to the work and ministry of the church, you can do this online, or you can send gifts to 175 Main Street, P.O. Box 364, Raleigh, Massachusetts, 01969. And of course, we'd always like to hear from you. You can call us anytime at 978-948-3993. So again, peace and best wishes in your journey. Goodbye.